Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm Mike B, and today we're going to be looking at a subject that I asked myself this question, and a couple other people have been asking this recently as well. What exactly are the hooks on bayonets for? Not all bayonets have the hook, and very few modern bayonets have them at all. It was mainly like a late 19th century and early 20th century thing, the Japanese Type 30, I think, being the longest used one, which I don't have an example of that, unfortunately, but we'll be using the Argentine model 1891 sword bayonet and the French model 1886 Rosalie bayonet with the hook on it. Now, first of all, I've learned through extremely reputable source that the word is not actually quillion, right? There's no I in it, it's just quillon, right? Quillon. And it's actually a term that's really, really old. So this isn't a new thing. This isn't a new design, this hook. These have been on daggers, swords, and now bayonets for thousands of years, or hundreds, if not thousands of years. Um, there's a few reasons for it being on daggers and swords that some people think is the reason that they were originally put on a bayonet. Because obviously the bayonet goes on the end of a rifle. I shouldn't have to tell you that, but just in case you didn't know, these aren't normal fighting knives. So what's really odd is that there's really no defined, clear cut reason why there is a quillon or a hook on a bayonet, right? Because originally on knives and swords, it was designed so you could actually kind of catch the opponent's blade at some point and twist it and possibly snatch it out of their hand. That's one little kind of theory. What that's for like fencing and stuff. And if you're actually in a sword fight, you can use it like this, right? And it works both ways. You can hook up like that and then try to snatch it out. It actually makes a pretty solid little grip, right? And in the Old Breed by Eugene Sledge, apparently he said that the Japanese were trained to actually go after U.S. people in a little bayonet charge and try to snatch the bayonet out of their, or the I'm sorry, the rifle with the bayonet out of their hands. I'm not calling Eugene Sledge a liar, but that seems like one of those myths, like oh, our ammunition wouldn't work in their guns, but we could use theirs. It was like that, just kind of something that perhaps there's some truth to it. Maybe it happened a couple times, but you got to think of a Japanese guy is like going to be charging at an American, and he's focused on snatching the rifle out of his hand. He's going to be a dead Japanese soldier. Like he's probably going to be more trained to kill the American, and the American's going to be trained to kill the Japanese than to actually sit there and go, okay, I'm going to take this technique. It's about a 1 in 1,000 chance of me actually doing everything right and it actually working out. So yeah, I'm going to gamble my life on that just because we were trained to do that. I doubt that personally. Again, that's my opinion, but it just seems like one of those old myths that's just kind of accepted as fact that nobody really ever questions because a veteran said it. That's really one of the only places that's given an answer like that that says, okay, well, yeah, here the hooks on them were for that. Another thing that's been unofficially kind of come to the conclusion that it's really for is that they're stacking. They're like a stacking hook on the rifle itself, but on a bayonet. Because a lot of rifles at first didn't have stacking loops on them or stacking hooks on them, so they would put bayonets on. In the Civil War, they did that. They would line up the bayonets with four rifles in a certain way and stack them. If you've never seen a stack of rifles, Google it really quick. It's an old school way of actually doing things. I think modern day we actually still kind of learn how to do that, but not with an M4. I think they did it with M16s and M14s, but I don't know if we do it anymore. But I remember doing something on that and how to kind of have them if you don't lay them on the ground. But anyway, so the Belgians, especially the Danish, a lot of European countries pretty much said that yeah, it's for stacking the rifles. It's just nothing more than that. You have the bayonet on the rifle and like a stacking hook. You just hook them on and they stack up in 4 or 5 or whatever, however many you're gonna put in the stack, and that really makes more sense, right? Because again, the hooking your opponent's blade thing, especially with a freaking bayonet on the end of a rifle. If you ever held a bayonet on the end of a rifle and done any kind of training with it, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. The thing is so freaking unwieldy. It's not like having a short spear. It's a lot heavier and it's a lot bulkier, and the balance is just not there. So the fact that you're going to go after the opponent's weapon and in a feeble attempt to hook their blade, like this, and possibly be able to be strong enough to pull it out of their hand with the rifle is just silly. Like that's one of those old military myths and those rumors that I'm sure has happened. Okay, don't get me wrong, saying that it never happened. It probably did, and somebody probably saw it happen once, and of course it became a regular occurrence, as pretty much every wartime myth starts. I'm trying to get these to kind of stand up, but they're not cooperating. There we go. Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm not calling people liars, and I'm not, disrespecting the veterans. I'm unsubscribing from your channel. Not doing that, guys. Oh, stay up. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'm not disrespecting any veterans. I'm just saying that perhaps it wasn't the norm and it wasn't the actual intent of people being trained with bayonets. So, the conclusion that I've drawn from doing research on this actual question, because it seems like it's asked a lot, but no straight answer is really given, is that it's mainly for decoration and stacking these rifles. You see, before World War One, most people got rid of them because they just had stacking loops and swivels and whatever on their second hooks on their weapons. So the need for the hook on here just kind of disappears. There's extra metal you really don't need to use. For every like 10 of these that you don't use, you can make another blade. So I mean, what's the point in wasting the metal? So yeah, that seems to me to be a more realistic reason why the hooks actually existed on these bayonets. And I'm sure people are still going to be like, well, a veteran said it, so it's 100% accurate. I don't believe you. Okay, by all means, you're free to not believe me. Not a big deal, but I'm just saying, use your head and kind of just think about it. Like in a real situation like that, intentionally going after the opponent's bayonet is not going to be like, you're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to like parry left, parry right, get the bayonet away from you, like thrust it away from you, and then probably go after the guy with the buttstock or the bayonet, depending on where you end up. That's really what's going to be happening. So again, sure, probably could have happened. Not disputing that. I mean, weird shit happens in a war. Weird shit happens every day, but even weirder shit happens in a war. But I'm just my main point is the quillon is on a bayonet is not intended specifically and exclusively for the purpose of snatching your enemy's weapon away. Stacking, and it just looks cool. I mean, it's decoration. The S98 and the S9805 bayonets, they both have like a reverse. These are a forward facing quillon. The S98 and the S9805 have a rear facing one, so it's like, okay, you can't stack it, with that really, because it's not a hook, and it's just for decoration, And again, they stopped doing that after World War II because they figured out it's just a waste of metal for a decoration. Much like the Pickelhaube has the spike on the top, originally wasn't just for decoration. It served a purpose, but it later became a decoration when it became outdated, just like sword fighting became outdated in the First World War, specifically. Actually, before that, but really became outdated. And again, it probably happened. I'm not saying it never happened. Oh my God, this Mike B guy doesn't know his history. Yeah, I'm sure it did. Just not. It wasn't like the main focus of the conflict was not sword fighting. You weren't fighting it mainly with swords. You had high powered, high velocity, repeating rifles. Your knives are going to be a little bit starting to become obsolete, right? Again, bayonets were used. We all know that. But for the most part, you're talking about long range artillery, long range, high velocity repeating rifles. You're not going to be sitting there using sword fighting tactics when you're using a rifle with a bayonet. It just isn't the same weapon at all. So if you still aren't convinced that these are just for decoration and stacking for the most part, by all means, continue to think what you want. I'm glad you watched the video. Hopefully it sparks you into maybe thinking about something in a little bit different way. Because, everybody's set on what they think is correct, and they just won't listen to anybody else. I just thought it was for decoration. I hadn't even thought about the fact that you could stack the rifles with them, even though it should be obvious. So I was open to that, and that makes a lot of sense when you really look at it and think about it. But yeah, the whole disarming your opponent thing doesn't really. I mean, on MythBusters they'd say that's busted. So I'm going to bust that right now and say that this actually they're for decorative purposes and stacking purposes. Bam. All right. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Hopefully we get some good discussion going, civil discussion in the comments. you haven't noticed, I'm not a big fan of the internet troll culture. So if you're gonna just be on here to be an asshole, you're gonna be gone. No big deal or anything. So yeah, keep it civil. What do you guys think? I'm not saying I'm 100% correct. I'm just saying this is what I've come up with in doing research on this specific little nerdy topic. So if you haven't already, become a supporter on Patreon. You get early access to videos, or exclusive access to content that won't be posted on YouTube. And we do giveaways, live streams once in a while. And it's just more interactive and it's easier to talk about things and pretty fun. So yeah, $1 a month buys you in on there. It's $12 a year. I think you can afford that, and it helps support the channel so we can do videos like shooting videos and travel and make videos with other YouTubers, etc., etc. All right, done rambling. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.